Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Jedi Knights Watch. My name is Graham, and today we're going to talk about kind of a sensitive subject, something that gets people going a little bit, and it's Hot Toys art boxes, or 1/6 figure art boxes. Should you keep them? Should you throw them out? What's the best way to store them? We're going to get into it right now, but before we do, I want to invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you don't miss any new content coming your way. Consider becoming a channel member. Check out my swag shop if you want to get yourself some shirts, some hats, a bunch of other stuff. I have all of those links in the description below. But yeah, so over the weekend I was going through my art box storage, and it is definitely, it was getting very full. It was bursting at the seams. Kind of bought a few figures last week, and things just started to really pile up quick. So I was just trying to figure out what's the best way to navigate these art boxes. Why should we keep them? Why should we think about maybe getting rid of them? And what are the pros and cons to both? So before you kind of get into that, you know, all of these situations are different. This is what works best for me. So your situation might be totally different, and what works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. But I thought it'd be a fun video to just talk about shippers. And I know it's been talked about, but it's a constant thing with new collectors coming in, or maybe just some people that have kept the art boxes for a while, but now they're in the same situation as me where running out of room and just deciding, is this really worth it? So let's get into it. What are some of the pros about keeping art boxes for me? The first pro is obviously that I have a place to store all of my accessories and keep it organized. Also, I like to keep them in the clamshell because if I personally take everything out, sometimes I have a hard time knowing where everything goes back in. And sometimes you can look on YouTube to find that stuff, but sometimes you can't. So I like to keep it organized. I know some people use tackle boxes, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, I don't want to buy another thing just to store what I'm already storing, even though it might take less space, but then I still have to find a place to put that. I don't know, something about it too. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I always like my stuff to stay in the clamshell too, because I don't want it, if I put it into a baggie, I don't want all of it rubbing together and then possible damage, you know, from that too. So one of the pros is that I can keep everything together. The other pro that I think about is if I ever choose to sell any of these figures for whatever the reason may be, I want to maximize the value to its fullest potential. Now, having said that, I totally understand that these figures have lost a lot of value over the last few years, and you're not getting nearly as much as you were a couple years ago. But at the same time, you're gonna lose value if you don't have a complete set, if you don't have that art box. So while if you're selling today, you might not get as much for that same figure as you did a year or two ago. However, you're gonna get even less if you don't have a complete set or the art box. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Now, I don't really plan on selling most of my figures. However, sometimes I have a change of heart. Sometimes a 2.0 comes across, or maybe a reissue, and I don't want the old figure. I want to replace it because space is limited. So I'm somewhat selective where I don't want the old figure if I get the brand new one that's better, you know. So, you know, those things come up. I also think about what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 20 years from now. Am I still going to be doing this? Is there going to be a life event that might force me to consider changing my hobbies, or, I don't know. I want to be prepared, because I'm the kind of person where I go through stuff and I get rid of stuff, and I'm like, I'm not going to need that. I won't need that. And then all of a sudden, a year later, I'm like, damn, I wish I didn't throw that out, because I could really use that right now. So I kind of look at it as the same thing with the art box too. You don't need to keep it by any means, but for me personally, I just want to maximize my value. Also, just keep everything organized. The con, I guess, would be they take up a lot of space. It's like dead space, and they fill up space quick. So if you don't have anywhere to store this stuff, I totally understand, making that decision, I'm just gonna get rid of it, because I might get to that point too. If I outgrow my storage, which I'll show you in a minute here, I may have to think about, which figures would I sell last, so that I might maybe throw those art boxes out. But at the same time, I don't know. We'll see if we get to that point. And then the other thing is the shippers. The shippers are what holds the art boxes, what ships them safely to you. I don't find much value in them outside of, if I do choose to sell, it's so easy to just put it in the box, stick a label on it, and send it out. I've thought about throwing out the shippers, but then, people are like, well, they don't take up much extra space. However, in my case, the little space they were taking up really caused me to not be able to store as many art boxes as I could. So I'm keeping the art box or the shippers because I want to just take care of all of those what ifs and down the road, and make sure, like, if I do ever choose to sell, I'm prepared and whatnot. So what I decided to do was break down the shipper boxes and stack them and store them in like my garage, because I'm not too worried about humidity or, you know, the change of climate really damaging the cardboard or anything like that. I would not recommend storing art boxes with accessories in an attic or a garage. You know, you still want to keep those temperature controlled and climate controlled, because, you know, you might have a cape or, you know, just the plastic in general. My Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys as a kid, stored them in my parents' garage in the attic of it, and went and got them a couple years ago, and the plastic actually was starting to break down, is becoming sticky and whatnot. So like that plastic can break down with that change of climate. So just be prepared, or be aware of that. So anyways, I'm breaking these down, and just a little bit of space. I got Rubbermaid shelves to store under the stairs here. This is kind of where I'm able to store my stuff, and I could store maybe, depending on the size of the art box, we'll just say a normal art box, I could store maybe like up to 9 art boxes, sometimes only 6, because the shippers, just too much space. It was just a little bit too much. Now I can store 12 on each shelf, so it really maximizes the space that I'm able to use here. I was having to put boxes on the ground. I could barely walk in here, and now I have it all organized, and I can easily find the art box that I'm looking for if I'm changing accessories or anything like that. It's right behind my DF120s, so easy access. I know not everybody has this, but this is just what I'm working with here. So I got it in order. Star Wars is all together, and then I have Marvel together, and then I have like DC, and then the miscellaneous towards the end there as well. But this just works for me. I was a little hesitant to break down the shippers because A, I want to protect the art boxes, but then B, if I ever do sell a figure, it's going to be a little bit hard to find, you know, which shipper goes where. So I took note on which art boxes don't have a shipper, and then when I broke them down on the inside bottom flap, I just wrote like what figure goes to that art box. So for example, Justice League, Batman and Superman 2-pack, and then I can find that and then just tape it back up, put the box in there, and ship it off if need be. So yeah, this is kind of what I decided to do. Again, I think it's in my best interest to keep the art boxes, at least for now, while I have the space, but I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody going out there and, like, you know, renting a storage unit to just keep art boxes. I know that's a tough decision to make, but I think that's kind of where I draw the line myself. So hopefully I don't ever get to that point, but yeah, this is just kind of a video to kind of talk about my new way of storing the art boxes, just kind of giving you a look inside my collection, my storage space, and just, yeah, letting you tag along on this journey with me. So end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and what's right for your situation. If that means storing everything in a rental unit, or if that means throwing everything out and just keeping the figure, that's totally up to you. But this is just what works well for me. So hopefully maybe it helped you guys out a little bit, just to kind of decide, you know, what you want to do with your art boxes and shippers. But let me know in the comments below how you store your art boxes. I'd be interested to see if anybody just tosses them, or, you know, how you store them, if you have a specific way of doing it so you can get easy access to accessories. Let me know down below. Don't forget to like this video on your way out and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.